This was largely a one-issue campaign. In 3 years under Mayor Lightfoot, crime in Chicago exploded. Theft was up 37%. Over the past 3 years, murders up 39%, reaching numbers not seen in Chicago since the early 90s. Motor vehicle theft went up a staggering 139%. And that created an opening for Vallas, who won the backing of the city's police union with his tough on crime positions and pledged to recruit thousands of new officers. Last week, after topping the first round of voting, Vallas reiterated his commitment to public safety and his pledge to support the city's police.
And we will have a safe Chicago. We will make Chicago the safest city in America. And it will not only come from providing the police with the resources and the support they need, but from building the bond between the police department and the community.
That sounds similar, not identical, but similar to President Biden, who in his past 2 State of the Union addresses has gone out of his way to support law enforcement.
We know police officers put their lives on the line every single night and day. And we know we ask them in many cases to do too much, to be counselors, social workers, psychologists, responding to drug overdoses, mental health crises, and so much more. In one sense, we ask much too much of them. We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police. Fund them. Fund them.
But the other candidate in the Chicago's mayor's race doesn't necessarily agree with that. During a debate with Vallas on Wednesday night, Johnson was confronted with past comments showing him speaking favorably about defund the police and defending it against criticism from Barack Obama, who has said defund the police. He's written it off as merely a slogan.
President Barack Obama took it one step further as well, and basically said that the effort of the defund police movement lost an audience because of that that slogan, I guess is what he's calling it, which I don't look at it as a slogan. It's an actual real political goal.
So again, Obama is too moderate for him. Now, Johnson has tried to distance himself broadly from the rhetoric, but the battle lines are drawn here. It's Vallas, the pro-police moderate, against Johnson, the progressive, who is much more at arm's length with law enforcement. But Biden is clearly walking on eggshells. Not to alienate the progressives, he'll need them to be fired up in 2024. But if that's true, that's a bad reason not to step up, a really bad reason. After all, he has inserted himself into big city mayoral politics numerous times. Last summer, for example, Biden threw his support behind Karen Bass to become the mayor of L.A., even though Bass was running against another Democrat, Rick Caruso. New York City, Mayor Adams, pro-police Democrat, has become a staunch Biden ally. It's not enough to say, well, this is a local race. Now is the chance for the president to put his money where his mouth is when it comes to supporting law enforcement, as he claims to do. If not, I fear it'll send a signal that he's willing to cower to the extreme in the party. Joining us now is Will Marshall. He's the president of the Progressive Policy Institute, a centrist Democratic think tank who helped advise President Bill Clinton's presidential campaigns. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so it seems to me that this is a perfect opportunity for President Biden to solidify the position that he has insisted he takes, which is pro-law enforcement.
Well, Dan, that's a good point, but I think the president's already dramatized his position on crime lately, just here in D.C., Washington, where he said he was not going to veto this motion to disapprove of the Washington City Council's weakening of anti-crime laws, which got him a lot of guff from the left. A lot of people said this is violating Washington's home rule going back to 1973. So I don't think he's afraid. He stood up on that issue. I don't know what he's going to do in Chicago. You're absolutely right that on the merits, his position is a lot closer to Paul Vallas's than to his opponents. But whether he, wants to come into, Chicago's a tough city. Whether he wants to come into, this race and get in the middle of it is something I can't answer. But I don't think that there's any doubt about his willingness to buck the progressives on crime. He's done it going back to 2020 when the defund slogan first caught fire, and he very conspicuously said, "No, I'm not having anything to do with that."
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.